The storm howled like a living beast, tearing branches from trees and hurling them into the black void. Emma Reed pushed against the gale, her boots sinking into mud with every step. The headlamp cut through sheets of rain, but its beam revealed only chaos. Somewhere ahead, a desperate sound rose above the storm. A muffled cry, thin and trembling. Emma whispered, "That's no trick of the wind." Her heart slammed in her chest, each beat urging her forward. Noah Park shouted, "Emma, wait! It's too dangerous in this terrain." But she pressed on, her body straining against the storm. A jagged crack thundered through the woods, as if the earth itself had split. Emma froze and heard it again. The pained cry of something alive, trapped and terrified. "It's a cub," Emma gasped, voice fierce with conviction. The storm seemed to rage harder, rain lashing her face, mud sucking at her legs. But retreat was no option. Every second mattered, and the cub's cries were growing weaker, as if time itself was running out. Emma forced her way through brambles, every thorn snagging her soaked jacket. The cries pierced the storm again, weaker this time, fragile against thunder's roar. Noah's voice cut through the gale. "You can't even see your footing," she answered without turning. "I don't need to see, I need to listen." Her pulse hammered with urgency, each sound from the cub more desperate. Branches snapped overhead, and a tree collapsed with a bone-shaking thud nearby, splintering mud and water into the air. Emma whispered fiercely, "Hold on, little one." The cub's cries faded into choking gasps, pulling her forward like a compass. Noah cursed and stumbled after her, unwilling to leave her to danger alone. Every step felt like defiance of the storm, her determination clashing against nature's wrath. In that darkness, the cub's fragile voice was the only spark of hope, and Emma vowed she would reach it before silence claimed it forever. The path narrowed into a ravine, water rushing like a furious river. Emma slid down the slope, her hands clawing at roots for balance. Noah shouted, "Emma, stop!" but his voice vanished into the storm. The cub cried again, weaker, closer. Her knees slammed into mud, pain jolting up her legs. She bit back a groan and dragged herself upright. A flash of lightning carved the sky, revealing a small shape wedged beneath a heavy log. Emma gasped, "I see you." The cub whimpered faintly, its wet fur glistening in the storm's harsh light. Thunder crashed, drowning out everything. Emma's heart clenched at the sight. So small, so fragile, yet clinging to life with desperate strength. Noah slid down behind her, breathless and soaked, eyes wide at the sight. "God," he whispered, "it's really trapped." Emma steadied herself and replied through clenched teeth, "Then we free it." Emma dropped to her knees, mud swallowing her hands as she clawed at soaked earth. The cub whimpered faintly, paw trembling against the log. Noah bent down, his breath ragged, saying, "We'll need leverage, this log won't move by hand." Emma's voice cracked, "We don't have time, it's fading." Rain hammered them, each drop like needles. Emma's fingers scraped wood, desperate for grip. The cub's eyes locked on hers, wide with fear yet faintly hopeful. She whispered, "I've got you." Thunder shook the ravine, and the log groaned under shifting mud. Noah muttered, "If it shifts wrong, we'll bury it." Emma growled through clenched teeth, "Then we make it shift right." Every ounce of her strength poured into clawing the mud free. The cub gave a broken cry, so weak it chilled her blood. Emma shouted, "Stay with me!" Her body trembled from cold and strain, but her resolve burned hotter than the storm. The log creaked ominously, mud sliding away beneath Emma's frantic hands. Noah jammed a broken branch beneath the trunk, straining to wedge it deeper. "It's not enough," he hissed, his muscles quivering. Emma pressed her shoulder against the slick bark, shoving with everything she had. The cub whimpered, its breaths shallow. Emma growled, "Come on." The storm roared louder, wind whipping her soaked braid across her face. Noah cried out, "Push Emma!" Together they heaved, the log trembling, shifting just enough to reveal the cub's frail body. The small creature whimpered again, voice faint but alive. Emma gasped, relief flooding her chest, whispering, "We've got you." Thunder boomed as mud surged around them, threatening to collapse the ravine. Noah's voice cut through, desperate but resolute. "We move it now, or we lose them both." Emma tightened her stance, her eyes blazing. She shouted above the storm, "Then we move it!" The storm softened into a heavy drizzle, leaving the forest dripping with restless echoes. Emma cradled the bear cub against her chest, its fur matted and shivering with exhaustion. She whispered, "You're safe now, little one." The cub whimpered weakly, eyes half closed. Noah approached, his shoulders heaving from strain, his hands muddy and torn. He muttered, "We shouldn't even be alive." Emma looked at him, her jaw tight, and said, "But we are, and so is he." The cub shifted faintly, pressing its trembling muzzle against her jacket. Memories clawed at Emma's chest. Another rescue long ago, one that had ended too late. She had promised herself she would never fail again. Noah crouched beside her, his gaze troubled. "If you carry that cub out of here, you'll carry its fight too." She nodded, her eyes burning. "Then I'll carry it as far as I have to." The cub stirred faintly, its body weak, breaths shallow but steady. Emma pulled her jacket tighter around it, shielding it from cold. She whispered fiercely, "You'll make it, I promise." Noah exhaled, his tone heavy with doubt. "Promises don't change injuries." Emma's eyes flashed and she said, "They change me." The cub whimpered, as though echoing her pain. For an instant, Emma remembered the scars on her heart, the pup she once held as it slipped away. That loss had never left her. She glanced at Noah, voice trembling. "I can't lose another." Noah pressed his lips together, silent, then placed his hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll fight for this one, both of us." Emma felt strength stir in her chest. The storm might have broken trees, but it would not break her vow. The cub shifted again, its paw twitching weakly, claws scraping at Emma's jacket. She murmured, "Easy now, I've got you." Noah glanced toward the ravine's edge, water still rushing dangerously. He said, "We can't stay here. The ground could give way." Emma looked down at the cub's fragile form, her voice quiet. "Then we move." Her legs trembled as she rose, mud sucking at her boots, but she held the cub close. The weight was nothing compared to the promise burning in her chest. Noah steadied her arm, his tone firm. "You can't carry this alone." She shot him a glance, fierce but grateful. "I'll never put it down, but I'll let you walk with me." The cub whimpered softly, its eyes blinking open, fragile but alive. The sound, faint as it was, lit Emma's soul like fire. They trudged through the dripping forest, branches heavy with rain, ground slippery beneath their boots. Emma's arms ached, but she clutched the cub tighter, refusing to yield. Noah kept pace at her side, eyes scanning every shadow. He muttered, "What if this isn't enough? What if it dies anyway?" Emma stopped sharply, turning to him with blazing eyes. "Then at least it won't die alone." Silence hung between them, broken only by the cub's soft wheeze. Noah swallowed hard, regret flickering across his face. Emma's voice softened, though her resolve never wavered. "I won't let fear stop me. Not this time." Her words echoed with unspoken ghosts, a past neither of them fully named. The cub nestled closer to her chest, fragile warmth pulsing like a heartbeat against a heart. Emma pressed forward, her breath ragged, every muscle burning. Noah moved beside her, his steps steady but wary. The cub whimpered softly, its paw twitching as if reaching for life. Emma whispered, "Stay with me, you matter." Her words cracked in the damp air, heavy with desperation. Noah's eyes lingered on her, admiration mingling with fear. He muttered, "You'll break yourself before you break that promise." Emma's jaw clenched, but her voice rang with conviction. "I'd rather break myself than fail again." Lightning flickered distantly, its afterglow reflecting in her determined eyes. The cub's weak breaths steadied, fragile but fighting. For the first time since the storm began, hope felt real. Noah exhaled slowly, his voice softer now. Then we keep moving, together. Emma nodded once, fierce and unwavering, her vow carved into every step she took. The forest trail narrowed into twisting mud, rain still dripping from shattered branches. Emma clutched the cub tighter, its breath shallow, body trembling. She muttered, "Hold on, you're safe." Noah scanned the dark tree line, unease etched on his face. "The storm's not done with us," he warned. A crack of thunder rolled, shaking the ground. The cub whimpered softly, eyes squeezed shut. Emma whispered, "I won't lose you." Her arms ached, but she pressed forward, mud sucking at every step. Noah's jaw tightened. "We're running out of daylight. If we don't reach shelter soon, neither of you will last." Emma's gaze sharpened, determination etched into every strained breath. "Then we don't stop until we find it." Emma stumbled over a fallen branch, nearly collapsing before Noah caught her elbow. "You're pushing too hard," he said. She shook her head, teeth clenched. "I can't let him slip away." The cub whimpered, nuzzling against her chest as if sensing her resolve. Thunder cracked overhead, startling them both. Noah muttered, "The trail's washed out. We'll have to cut through the ridge." Emma glanced at the steep slope, her arms aching but her will unbroken. "Then we climb," she answered. Noah cursed softly but nodded. The cub's fragile heartbeat thudded faintly against Emma's chest, a reminder of the stakes. The ridge loomed dark and slick, promising danger with every step. The ridge was slick with rain, each foothold treacherous. Emma climbed steadily, the cub pressed against her chest, its faint whimpers driving her onward. Noah climbed close behind, muttering, "One wrong step, and we're finished." Emma's breath came ragged, her fingers digging into slick roots. "Then I won't slip," she snapped, voice raw with strain. Mud slid underfoot, sending rocks tumbling into the ravine below. The cub twitched weakly, its paw trembling against her jacket. She whispered fiercely, "I've got you." Lightning split the sky, illuminating the ridge in a harsh flash. Noah shouted, "Emma, watch your step." But her gaze never wavered. Her vow bound her stronger than fear. Halfway up the ridge, Emma's boots slipped, mud tearing away beneath her. She gasped, clutching the cub tighter as her body lurched downward. Noah lunged, grabbing her arm with both hands. "I've got you!" he shouted, straining against the weight. Emma's nails dug into the earth, every muscle trembling. The cub whimpered faintly, muffled under her jacket. Emma's eyes burned with panic, but her voice shook with resolve. "Don't let go." Noah gritted his teeth, mud streaking his arms. "I won't." Together, they fought gravity, boots slipping, mud cascading down. With one last heave, Noah dragged her upright, both collapsing against the slope. The cub whimpered again, alive but fragile, and Emma whispered, "Still with me." They reached the ridgetop, collapsing in the soaked grass. Emma lay on her side, the cub trembling weakly in her arms. She pressed her cheek against its wet fur, whispering, "I've got you, you're safe." Noah knelt beside her, chest heaving. "We can't keep this pace. You'll break before we reach shelter." Emma met his eyes, fierce despite exhaustion. "I'd rather break than let him die." The cub whimpered faintly, its paw twitching as if clinging to life. Noah's gaze softened, torn between reason and admiration. "Then I'll carry both of you if I have to." Emma's lips curved in the faintest weary smile. "You're stubborn," she said, her voice hoarse. He replied, "You taught me that." The ridge opened into a clearing, the storm easing into heavy mist. Emma laid the cub down gently on a patch of grass, its frail chest rising shallowly. Noah scanned the ground and froze. "Emma, look." Broken wires jutted from the mud, jagged and rusted. The cub's paw was raw, fur torn by metal teeth. Emma's breath caught. This wasn't an accident. Her hands trembled as she touched the wound, rage flashing in her eyes. Noah's jaw clenched, his voice low. "Poachers," Emma whispered. "They set traps here." The cub whimpered, pressing against her for comfort. She stared at the twisted wire, her chest burning with fury. Someone did this on purpose. Her vow hardened into something heavier, sharper. It wasn't just about saving the cub anymore. It was about stopping the cruelty that had scarred it. Emma's chest heaved as she stared at the trap. Memories slammed into her. Another cub long ago, one she hadn't reached in time. One stolen by cruel hands. She had sworn never to relive that loss, yet here it was again. Noah said, "If there are traps, there could be more. This whole place is a killing ground." Emma's voice shook, but burned with fire. "Then we tear them out. Every last one." The cub whimpered, paw twitching, blood smearing Emma's sleeve. She whispered to it, "You'll never be theirs again." Noah looked at her, worry flickering. "Emma, this isn't just rescue anymore. This is war with men who won't care if we're in their way." Emma met his gaze, unwavering. "Then let them try." Noah crouched beside another trap, half buried in mud, shaking his head. "These are fresh. Whoever set them was here not long ago." Emma's gut twisted. She pulled the cub closer, eyes sharp. "Then they'll come back." The cub's weak cry pierced the silence, reminding her of the fragile life in her arms. She whispered, "You're not a prize. You're not theirs." Noah sighed, exhaustion in his voice. "Emma, you can't fight everyone. Not this way." She clenched her jaw. "I'm not fighting for me. I'm fighting for him." For a moment, silence hung heavy, broken only by distant crows. Noah muttered, "You've always carried ghosts." Emma's gaze hardened. "This one won't become one of them." The cub stirred faintly, paw twitching in pain. Emma unwrapped a cloth from her pack, pressing it gently to the wound. Her voice trembled as she murmured, "You deserve better than this." Noah crouched nearby, his brow furrowed. "Emma, poachers don't leave traps like these and forget them. If they find us here..." She cut him off, eyes blazing. "Then let them see what they've done." The cub whimpered, resting its head against her arm. Emma's chest ached with both fury and tenderness. "Every scar tells me why I can't stop," Noah whispered, almost pleading. "You'll burn yourself alive." Emma shook her head slowly. "Then I'll burn for him." Distant voices cut through the mist, sharp, human, angry. Noah's head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "They're here." Emma froze, clutching the cub tight, heart pounding. She whispered, "They won't take him." Noah moved closer, lowering his voice. "Emma, think. We can't fight them head on." She glared into the fog, her jaw set. "I don't care. They won't touch him." The cub whimpered softly, its trembling body pressed against her chest. The voices grew louder, boots crunching on wet ground. Noah hissed, "We need a plan now." Emma's eyes burned with raw fury. "The plan is simple. We protect him." Her vow cut through the clearing like steel. The storm outside had ended, but the real storm was only beginning. The mist thickened as voices drew closer, boots crunching leaves in steady rhythm. Emma clutched the cub tighter, its weak body pressed against her chest. Noah crouched beside her, whispering urgently, "They'll find us if we stay." Emma's jaw tightened. "Then we move." But before they could rise, shadows broke through the fog. Two figures, rifles slung over their shoulders. The poachers paused, scanning the clearing. One muttered, "The trap was sprung." Emma's pulse roared in her ears, her breath ragged but steady. Noah leaned close, his voice a rasp. "Emma, don't do anything reckless." Her eyes blazed as she whispered, "Reckless is leaving him behind." The cub whimpered faintly, its cry carrying into the mist. The poacher's head snapped toward the sound. The taller poacher raised his head, scanning the clearing with narrowed eyes. "Something's here," he growled. Emma's heart hammered as she pressed lower into the mud, shielding the cub with her body. Noah whispered, "We can't out rifles." Emma's voice was steady steel. "Then we outsmart them." The cub whimpered again, weak but distinct. The poacher cocked his rifle, stepping forward. "Sounds like money to me." Emma's chest flared with rage. "You won't touch him," she mouthed silently. Noah grabbed her wrist, eyes burning with fear. Don't, Emma, not like this. She met his gaze, every line of her face unyielding. There's no other way. The storm may have ended, but the real fight had only begun. Emma's breath steadied as she rose from the mud, cub still cradled tightly. The poacher froze at the sight, rifle half raised. Well, look what we have, he sneered. Noah shot up beside her, hand outstretched. You don't have to do this, he said firmly. The second poacher barked a laugh. That's our catch, step aside. Emma's voice cut through the mist like a blade. He's not yours, he's not anyone's. The cub whimpered softly, burying its muzzle into her chest. For a moment, silence stretched, broken only by dripping branches. The first poacher smirked coldly. Then you'll pay for stealing from us. Emma squared her shoulders, defiance burning in her eyes. The poacher lunged forward, rifle swinging. Noah shoved himself between them, shouting, "Back off!" The poacher snarled, shoving him hard, mud splashing upward. Emma's chest burned as the cub whimpered in terror. She shouted, "Stay behind me, Noah." Her eyes locked on the poachers, rage spilling into every breath. The second poacher circled, smirking. "You're outnumbered, lady." Emma's voice shook with fire. "Maybe, but I'm not the one afraid." She pressed the cub tighter, feeling its faint heartbeat. For a moment, lightning cracked behind the clouds, casting white light through the mist. The poachers hesitated, unsettled by her defiance. Noah staggered back to her side, blood at his lip, whispering, "We fight together." The clearing erupted in chaos. Noah grappled with one poacher, mud flying as they crashed to the ground. Emma ducked as the other swung his rifle like a club. She shielded the cub with one arm, her free hand clawing for a branch. She swung with desperate strength, the wood cracking against his shoulder. He staggered back, cursing. The cub whimpered, trembling in her grip, its small heart racing against hers. "You're safe," she gasped, even as sweat and rain stung her eyes. Noah roared, forcing his opponent into the mud. "Emma, go!" he shouted. Her chest heaved, every nerve alive with fear and fury. She tightened her grip on the cub and whispered, "Not without you." The fight ended as quickly as it began. The poachers stumbled back into the mist, beaten and cursing, their silhouettes vanishing into shadows. Noah collapsed to his knees, chest heaving, mud streaking his face. Emma cradled the cub tightly, her arms shaking, her breath shallow but steady. She whispered, "You're safe, little one. It's over now." The cub whimpered, its paw twitching weakly, yet its eyes opened wider than before. Noah pressed a trembling hand to her shoulder. "We made it," he rasped, disbelief etched into his tone. Emma's eyes burned, a mix of exhaustion and fierce relief. "No, he made it. We just gave him the chance." Silence fell heavy, broken only by the cub's faint breaths and the distant retreating echo of boots. Emma lowered herself onto the wet ground, holding the cub gently in her lap. Its fur clung damp and cold, but its chest rose stronger with each breath. She whispered, "You're stronger than they ever knew." Noah sat beside her, watching silently, eyes still clouded with shock. Finally, he muttered, "Emma, I thought we'd lost him." She looked at Noah, her voice breaking with tenderness. "I've lost too many, not this one." The cub lifted its head faintly, muzzle brushing her chin. For the first time, Emma allowed herself a small smile, fragile but true. Noah's shoulders eased, his chest shaking with a deep sigh. Maybe he'll have a chance after all. Emma stroked the cub's wet fur, her vow echoing in the stillness. "He will." The forest quieted, rain dripping gently from broken branches. Emma tore strips of cloth from her jacket, wrapping the cub's injured paw carefully. Her hands shook but steadied with focus. "You'll heal," she whispered. Noah leaned close, holding the cub still, his voice low. "You've done this before." Emma's jaw tightened. "Yes, and I failed once before too." Her eyes darkened, memory burning in silence. Noah met her gaze, steady and soft. Not this time. The cub whimpered faintly, but settled into Emma's lap, its body trembling less than before. She stroked its fur, her voice like a vow. No more scars if I can help it. The clearing smelled of rain and earth, heavy with both loss and fragile hope. They sat in silence, the storm's echoes fading into distant hills. Emma's arms trembled with fatigue, yet she refused to set the cub down. Noah studied her, voice quiet. You carry more than him, don't you? She swallowed hard, her eyes fixed on the cub. I carry the ones I couldn't save. For a moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. The cub stirred, nuzzling deeper against her chest as if answering her unspoken grief. Noah touched her arm gently. You can't undo the past, Emma, but you can give him a future. Her lips quivered, then steadied into a soft nod. Then that's what I'll do. The vow felt lighter this time, not only burden but promise. The first rays of sunlight pierced the mist, golden light streaking through broken branches. Emma rose slowly, legs shaking, the cub still pressed to her chest. She whispered, We'll get you home. Noah stood beside her, battered but steady, his eyes lifting to the clearing sky. The storm's past, he said quietly. Emma glanced at him, her face streaked with mud and tears. Not for him. Not yet. She looked down at the cub, its small body breathing stronger, eyes fluttering with life. Her lips trembled, then curved into the faintest determined smile. Noah's voice was firm now. Then we carry him until it's done. Emma nodded, lifting her chin, her silhouette framed by light cutting through the mist. For the first time, hope felt real. The forest opened into a high meadow, golden light washing across wet grass. Emma's steps slowed as she carried the cub, its breathing steadier, its eyes flickering open. She whispered, Almost there, little one. Noah walked beside her, mud-streaked but upright, his gaze sweeping the horizon. The storm's rage had broken, leaving the air filled with birdsong and dripping branches. Emma's chest ached with exhaustion, yet she pressed on, each step echoing with purpose. The cub whimpered softly, nudging closer against her warmth. Noah murmured, He's stronger now. Emma's eyes glistened as she replied, So am I. For a moment, silence wrapped around them, holding the fragile hope they carried. They reached a ridge overlooking the valley, sunlight spilling across endless forest. Emma paused, holding the cub high enough to see. The cub blinked at the horizon, ears twitching, as though recognizing freedom. Emma whispered, This is your world. Her voice cracked, tears shimmering in her eyes. Noah stood close, silent but reverent, his chest rising with deep breaths of relief. The cub shifted weakly, nestling against her arm, a fragile survivor bearing scars of cruelty. Emma pressed her lips to its damp fur, murmuring, No cage will ever hold you again. Noah's voice broke the silence, low and sure. He's going to live. Emma nodded, her heart swelling with both joy and ache. Emma lowered the cub back into her arms, feeling its frail body stronger now, breath steadier, paws twitching gently. She whispered, You'll walk these woods again. The cub whimpered softly, blinking against the light. Noah's hand rested lightly on her shoulder, steady and grounding. You gave him back what they tried to take. Emma swallowed, emotion burning through her chest. He gave me back something too, the will to keep fighting. For a moment, the past ghosts that haunted her seemed to lift, replaced by this fragile life. Noah's gaze softened. Sometimes saving one is enough. Emma looked down at the cub, her lips curving in the faintest smile. Sometimes it's everything. The cub stirred, wriggling faintly, as though restless. Emma knelt, lowering it onto the wet grass. The cub blinked, paws unsteady, fur damp and ragged. Emma whispered, Go on, little one. Its legs trembled, but it took a shaky step forward, then another. Noah's breath caught. He's walking. Emma's eyes filled, her voice a whisper carried on sunlight. He's free. The cub stumbled, then lifted its head toward the forest beyond the meadow, ears pricked. For a fleeting moment it paused, glancing back at Emma. Her heart swelled. An unspoken bond carved between them. She whispered softly, "Remember, you're not alone anymore." The cub turned once more, eyes wide, then padded slowly toward the tree line, each step stronger. Emma's chest clenched as she watched, tears slipping silently down her face. Noah whispered, "Hell, remember this." Emma's voice trembled, yet rang with quiet certainty. "So will I." The cub disappeared into the misty woods, the sound of its small paws fading into stillness. Emma closed her eyes, pressing a hand to her chest, feeling the echo of its heartbeat still against her. The meadow glowed golden around them, the storm's scars melting into light. Noah placed his arm gently around her shoulders. "You did it," he said softly. Emma opened her eyes, gaze fixed on the forest, and whispered the final vow. "We did it."